Do you want to see an overlay in a practice session and another one in a race session? Or you just want to see different overlays in an oval race than what you see in a road race? Then make sure you watch this video because layout feature does exactly that and even more. Have a look. So let's have a look at the feature. On the left side you find a layout menu, and then when you click on it you will see a list of layouts that you defined. Now again, you can define multiple layouts and I'll tell you later why is it important, but for now let's just have a look at one layout and then you will have a much clearer picture what are we dealing here. So let me create a new layout, and then I'm just gonna open it for edit with the open button. Then we're arriving on this layout editing screen. This is a very important screen. This is where you're going to define all your overlays, the positions of it and everything. On the top left side we see the name of our layout and some detailed information about when this layout will be activated. On the right side we have some action buttons where you can open the layout to either to see how things look or either to use it. So demo mode is for just previewing it with some demo data, so you can see if all the overlays are really in the right position and you like them. And the open layouts button will open it up and then you can use it during your practices or races. The main area here is the editing area where you can edit your overlays. And on the right side there will be some settings you can change. So the very first thing you need to do is you need to decide whether this layout is going to be for your screen or is going to be for streaming. If you're streaming, then you can define this in your OBS and then you can have your own layout in OBS. We're gonna talk about it later, but for now, for a regular user, display is going to be just enough for you. So the first thing you need to do is you need to specify on which screen you want this layout to show up, or you can say I want the layout to show up on all my screens. For me, I only have two screens here now. I have a super wide and a 1080p screen, so I'm gonna just choose the first one, screen 1, and I know the resolution of it is this. Actually no, I changed my mind. Let's choose the second screen because it's a bit smaller, so maybe we can see a better preview of it. Screen 2, let's see, this one. What's happening here is we see a preview of it. Obviously we have to have a zoomed out version. So on the top you will see that this is the resolution we are seeing at the moment, and this is equals to 46% of what the original size is. Let's talk about just simply adding overlays. So adding overlays is done with this drop down. You have all the overlays here that we have at the moment. Let's just add the standings. So I'm gonna click on the standings, and what happens is standings show up. Again, it's a zoomed out version. This highlighted area represents your screen so that you can drag this around the way you want. When I click on it, it gets highlighted, as you can see, and there's a small box on the right, which is basically all the things you can do with it. So you can align it to certain positions, and you can delete it, you can reset its settings, so on, so on. So let's just say I want this standings overlay to show up on the top left screen of my screen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this alignment option, and I'm gonna click on the left and on the top. I can still further specify the position of this overlay with this top and left input. So if I click on this plus, you can see that the overlay slowly moving down, and then I click on the left option, and it's slowly going on the left. So obviously what I would do is I would put it on the top left corner and just a little bit further away from that. And when I click away from this overlay, it gets unselected, and then it's right there. But you can do many stuff. So you can do right side, and then you can specify how far away from the right side you want it to be. I can specify the same thing, or on the bottom, and then you can select the bottom metric and so on. So it's really, possibilities are quite clear here. So let's say I want to put it on the top left, 5 pixel away from the top left corner. So now what you can also do, and it's very important, is that you can change the settings of this overlay. Either you click on this gear icon or you double click on the overlay. So let me just click on this gear icon, and what I get is I get the settings of these standings. So I can really do all the crazy thing here. So I can, okay, maybe not that crazy. Let's change some stuff here. I don't want the lob delta, I don't want this. I also don't want the gap distance. I just want a very simple, very simple standings. Something like that, and I close it, and there you go. What's important here is if I would create a new overlay and put the standings in it, I could just configure it the way I want it there. So I can configure standings in an oval session that looks completely different than a standings in a road session. It really depends on what I configure in a layout. So I can also add more overlays, obviously. Let's align it to the left. I can add, I don't know, flags here. Let's add it here. Right. What's also interesting is you can add overlays multiple times. So I can add multiple flags here if I would want to. So that's about adding overlays, and you can add again all sorts of overlays to your layout. It's really up to personal preference, but the way that you can align the overlays to certain corners and specify exactly where you want it to be gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of precision as well. Let's talk about what it means to have multiple layouts and why you need it. And I want to show it with an example I have, because I'm racing in a series that is an open wheeler, and this car has, for example, a DRS system. For that I really need a different layout, because I have, let me show you, I'm sorry the screen is a bit small because of how big my screen is. I have this data block here, which is the DRS indication. So whenever the DRS is active, two lights will come up, and I know that I have to press the button then. And I place this data block just in front of my eye, as well as the brake bias setting. So fortunately I have this layout, so if I want this layout, which actually called layout 1, to be activated only for this series, I would need to, first of all, for myself, specify the name. So I would specify iRacing Grand Prix series, and then I would specify that this is a road series, and actually this one is iRacing Grand Prix series. There you go. Yeah, I could also name it McLaren MP430, I believe the car is, just so I know. And you know, the following configuration means that whenever I sit in this series, iRacing Grand Prix series, this layout will activate, which means that I will see this screen. You know, if I go back, join to an oval session, this layout won't activate, just the following one will activate. So this is going to be for all categories, all series, all cars. So this is going to show, and I would see this in an oval series. But if I want an oval series to specifically show a different layout, all I need to do is create a new layout, name it, select whatever series I want, and then save it, open it, and specify everything I want. The possibilities are almost endless. There are so many series, there are so many categories in iRacing that you can just specify whatever you want and you don't need to worry about anything. One thing I really like to do in my layouts is specify sessions specifically what I want to see. So what does it mean? It means that I can tell the layout that in a practice session I want to see these overlays, and in a quali session I want to see completely other ones. And for this to activate, you need to switch this session specific switch to on. Right now it's off, and what it means is no matter what session you are in, meaning practice, quali or race, you're gonna see always this screen, always this layout, so with the standings, relative and these two flags. But if I don't want that, then I can go turn on the session specific flag, and then I can select it. When you first time select session specific, you obviously have a clean sheet, so you have no overlays. You can anytime go back and decide that no, I only want one layout for all my sessions. So let's go back here. What I like to do is I like to specify standings. I actually like to have relative as well, but relative here is not super important, so I usually change it a bit. So what I usually do is, I don't really want to see this many things. I probably don't want to see any widgets. I don't want to see any safety rating, iracing gain, or driving license. I just really want to see something simple. And then, yeah, that's it. Some simple thing is just good enough for practice, right? I also like to see my input telemetry, because I know when I practice, I want to see my inputs. So it's quite useful to see my inputs. And, I could also configure this, but I think it's just the default is just good enough for me. And I don't think, maybe the standings, it doesn't make sense to have a delta or gap, because on practice you really don't have these times anyway. So lob delta off, and the gap distance off. I really don't need the pit indication either, so I can turn them off too. It really makes no sense. I'm not interested in it, at least. And I'm also not very interested with the names, so I can really squeeze that a bit together, because it's really not relevant for me on standings. So I can have a very nice and clean page or layout. I can also add a data block, which may be new for you, but in data block you can basically choose any metrics you want to see. So I might want to see the track name, just informational purpose. I just want to see, let's increase the size of this a bit. So really just want to see this, what track am I on? And what I also like to see, let's add one more data block. I like to see the track temperature, track time, track temp. Here we are. Let's increase this a bit too. What was the other one? Size of 19. Size of 19, quickly. Align it to the right. There we go. Perfect. It's really perfect for practicing. I don't need anything else. Well, not true. I could also have a head-to-head overlay, because that helps me a lot actually. And yeah, just like this, so that I can see where I lose time. And actually, that's a good thing. Let me set it to, yeah, personal best. I want to see the personal best for myself and for the guys ahead of me and behind me, so I can really compare where I lose time. And that's it. Maybe better place is here. There you go. And then when I go to quali, let's see, in quali mode I really need to focus. I shouldn't be distracted by anything else, so I just gonna have a standings there. I don't need any pit indication. I probably need last time. I probably also need the fastest lap time to see what others are doing. It should be in lap times, yes. I don't need gap. Again, it's not relevant. And maybe that's it. Yeah, that's it. It's perfect. It's just perfect. Let's align it to top left. I probably don't need anything else. I really don't need anything else. I just want to focus on my fast lap, which is 3 laps if you remember. Oh, actually, not true. I really want to know the track temp, because that influences a lot of the track time. Track time. Increase that a bit. And I'm gonna put it right here. But you get the idea. And then I could do the same thing on the race. I could put so many different things there. And when I go to a practice session, this view would activate. When I change to a quali, then this screen would activate. And then the race, whatever I specify here, would activate, right? I don't want to make this video super long, so I won't specify everything. But just so you can see what I'm doing, you can do the same thing, but you can spend a lot more time and thinking over it. But that's basically it. And then if you want to test it, you want to actually see it on your screen, then I would advise you to go to a session in iracing, a practice session, or it could be also a test session. And then you press the demo button. Now the demo button is going to open up what you see here, exactly what you see here with all this demo data, but on the full screen. And when you're done, you just click on open layout and your layout window will show up, and you're always going to see the layout that needs to be active. So if you have multiple layouts specified, then the app will always know which one needs to be active based on what you set before. And one last thing I wanted to show for streamers is the streamer tab, which essentially very similar to the display tab, except that you don't have a screen option there. What you need to do is you need to decide what resolution you're streaming at. Usually it's 1920 1080, so that you specify the resolution of your browser source. And this is the browser source resolution you're going to need to set in your OBS. And then the rest is just exactly the same. You can specify session specific layout overlays inside, or you can just have it all and then you add different overlays you need. What's important to note here is display and stream layouts are going to be running at the same time. So we are on this new layout. Let's rename this to have a better picture. So it is going to be my road layout, which means that this is a screen I'm going to see in a practice session and a quali, so on. And since I specified also now a stream layout, this is going to show exactly the same time. So giving an example, let's give a more obvious example. Okay, so this example is road layout. I'm joining to a session, I'm in a practice session, and this is the layout I'm going to see on my screen, and my viewers is going to see this in my OBS. Well, my viewer is going to see this because they only see what I show in my OBS. So meaning that this display and the stream tabs or versions are going to run at the same time. Just one will run on your screen and the other will run in the browser source. And you can check this by copying either the demo or the live URL. Again, the demo is just to see how it would look if you would be on a practice quali race. So you can actually design it the way you want it. And yeah, that's just the important thing to note. These are running at the same time. If you're a streamer, you can have completely different view on your screen than what you're actually showing to your viewers. And this gives you a lot of configurability power and a lot of different things you can do on your stream. And you don't have to necessarily have the same thing on your screen than you have it on your stream, which I assume would make your life even better and easier. I don't want to go into more details. I might do more videos about this layout feature because this topic is just so big. But first I want to get some feedback from you guys, and then let's see how we go from there. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like the video, please click a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, if you don't want to miss the new features we release, and have fun with the layout editor. See you later.